Well, Gillian, thank you, and good evening, everyone. It truly is a great pleasure to be here at this truly remarkable conference, this feast of intellectual inquiry. But I do actually feel I face a bit of a challenge this evening. Indeed, as I stand up to speak to you at 9:50, after a debate that started at 8 a.m., I feel that I am sort of a powerless cog within Rob Johnson's somewhat perverse experiment his somewhat perverse experiment in group intellectual dynamics, because you may remember that last night Rob explained to us, when he set out the timetable, he explained to us quite explicitly his philosophy of how to get good results from people. And he said, with no sense of irony, that first of all you had to get everybody absolutely and utterly exhausted, and that then and only then the debates and insights would begin to flow. So after a day in which you have had 20, I counted them up, meaty presentations, it is now my job to keep you going for another 2 or 3 hours, I guess. But in doing that, I have one advantage, which is I have a new angle. I speak not as an academic economist, though I did study economics and teach it briefly part-time here at Cambridge, but I've not been a full-time academic economist, but as a financial regulator. And George Soros actually earlier today suggested a way in which regulators might enliven their contribution to any meeting. Since George said regulators were partly to blame, he said, and I quote, "What we need is a bit of Chinese-style regulatory self-criticism." So I guess I should feel fortunate that I have not been put in a sort of set of stocks up here so that you can throw things at me while I make sure that I'm adequately self-critical. But I'm afraid I'm not going to provide that sort of entertainment, and I don't need to, because I do have a cast-iron alibi. I wasn't there. I joined, as Gillian says, I joined the FSA on the 20th of September 2008, which was 5 days after Lehman's collapsed and 3 weeks before we rescued the developed world banking system with trillions of dollars of public capital and liquidity. It was somewhat like being appointed captain of the Titanic shortly after we'd hit the iceberg, but a little bit before we sank.